Alright, so our first article for today is about Jenni Rivera. So Dolores Jenni Rivera, born July 2nd, 1969, and died December 9th, 2012, was an American singer, songwriter, actress, businesswoman, and producer known for her work with the original Mexican music genre, specifically in the styles of banda, am I saying that right? Banda, mariachi, and norteño. In life and death, several media outlets, including CNN, Billboard, Fox News, and New York Times, have labeled her the most important female figure and a top-selling female artist in regional Mexican music. Billboard magazine named her the top Latin artist of 2013 and the best-selling Latin artist of 2013. Rivera began recording music in 1992. Her recordings often had themes of social issues, infidelity, tax evasion, and inflation. Ooh, tax evasion, my favorite subject. Rivera released her first studio album, Poco a Poco, in the mid-1990s, failing to attain commercial success. However, she rose to prominence in the United States and Mexico with her 2005 album, Parrandera Rebelde y Atrevida. I probably butchered that, didn't I?
Parrandera, rebelde y atrevida.
In the mid to late 1990s, she was often criticized and was refused bookings at venues across California for performing banda music, a male-dominated music genre. However, her popularity grew after she released her song La Malandrinas, which received airtime on the radio. She gained more popularity when she won the Lo Nuestro Award for Regional Mexican Female Artist of the Year in 2007, which she won 9 consecutive times. Her 10th studio album, Jenni, from 2008, became her first #1 record on the Billboard Top Latin Album chart in the United States. In 2010, she appeared in and produced the reality TV show Jenni Rivera Presents Chiquis and Rock C. She also appeared in and produced I Love Jenni starting in 2011 through 2013 and Chiquis in Control in 2012. Her acting debut was in the film Philly Brown, which was released in 2013. And over the course of her career, Rivera was awarded 2 Oyel Awards, Mexico's equivalent to the United States Grammy Awards, 2 Billboard Music Awards, 22 Billboard Latin Music Awards, 11 Billboard Mexican Music Awards, and 18 Lo Nuestro Awards. She received 4 Latin Grammy nominations. She was a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Las Vegas Walk of Stars, and she is one of the best-selling regional Mexican artists of all time, having sold more than 15 million records worldwide, also making her the highest-earning banda singer of all time. Aside from music, she was active in her community and donated her time to civic causes. The National Coalition Against Domestic Violence appointed her its spokesperson in the United States. A proclamation was given officially naming August 6th Jenni Rivera Day by the Los Angeles City Council for all her charity work and community involvement. Rivera, along with 6 others, died in a plane crash near Monterrey on December 9th, 2012. An investigation was unable to determine the cause of the accident. Lawsuits involving the owner of the plane, Rivera's estate, and family members of those on board with Rivera were filed. As for life and career, from 1969 to 1991, her childhood, Dolores Jenni Rivera was born and raised in Long Beach, California, to Rosa Saavedra and Pedro Rivera, both from Mexico. Her parents raised Rivera and her sister and 4 brothers in a tight-knit musical household. Her brother Lupillo is also a regional Mexican musician. Rivera spoke both English and Spanish fluently. Her family introduced her to traditional Mexican music, including the genres of banda, norteña, and ranchera. Rivera earned straight A's in school until her sophomore year when, at 15, she became pregnant with her first of her 5 children, Jenni Chiquis Marin Rivera. She supported the 2 of them by selling CDs at flea markets while working toward her GED at a continuation school and graduating as class valedictorian. Speaking in 2003 of her experiences as a teenage mother, Rivera explained, "Usually when a young girl is pregnant, she drops out of school and concentrates on being a mother. I thought that's what I had to do, but my counselor told me there was no way they would let me drop out. I had too much promise." She attended Long Beach City College before transferring to California State University, Long Beach, where she obtained a degree in business administration. Prior to working for her father's record label, she worked in real estate. Her father was a bartender and businessman who created the record label Cintas Acuerdo in 1987, which launched the career of Mexican singer and songwriter Chalino Sanchez. From 1992 to 2004, beginnings in music. Rivera was introduced to music in 1992 when she recorded as a Father's Day present to her father. She made more recordings and signed to Capitol / EMI's Latin division. And her first album, Somos Rivera, translated to We Are Rivera, was released in 1992. At the onset of her musical career, she was told many times she would not make it. At that time, and still today, the genre known as regional Mexican music was and is dominated by men. In the 2011 interview with Billboard magazine, she stated, "It was hard knocking on those doors to get my music played. One radio programmer in LA, the meanest son of a bitch in the world, threw my CD in the trash right in my face. Those were the kind of issues Rivera faced as a female trying to crack the regional Mexican genre." She then released the albums La Maestra, Poco a Poco, Por un Amor, La Chacalosa, and Adios a Selena. The latter, a tribute album to Tejano music, or Tano music, Selena, who was murdered in 1995. Selena, who was murdered in 1995. She signed to Balboa Records in 1993, Sony Music in the late 1990s, and then with Fonovisa Records in 2000. In the same year, Rivera released her first commercial album with Fonovisa titled Que me entierren con la banda, featuring local hit La Malandrinas. Rivera stated that she wrote La Malandrinas to play homage to her female fans. She also said the song blew up and people became interested. That's when Jenni Rivera, the artist, was actually born. In 2001, she released the records Dejate Amar and Se la voy a dar a otro, which garnered her first Latin Grammy nomination for Best Banda Album. She became the first American-born artist to be nominated for the award in 2003. Her 2003 release, Homenage a la Grandas, in English translating to Homage to the Great Ones, was a tribute album to female Mexican singers. In 2004, she released her first compilation disc titled Simplemente La Mejor, which became her first record to detonate a chart in the United States. And this next section is about 2005 to 2010, Parrandera, Rebelde y Atrevida, Mi Vida Loca, Jenni, and La Gran Senora. She began to attain more substantial success with the record Parrandera, Rebelde y Atrevida, released in 2005, which peaked at number 10 on the Billboard Top Latin Albums chart. Since its release, it has been certified double platinum in the Latin field by Recording Industry Association of America. The second single released from the album, De Contrabando, became her first and only number one song to hit the Latin regional Mexican airplay in the United States. It's also said to be one of her most known songs. In 2007, she released Mi Vida Loca, which debuted at number one on the regional Mexican albums chart and number 2 on top Latin albums chart in the United States. The album garnered an award for Regional Mexican Album of the Year at the 2008 Latin Billboard Music Awards. In a 2011 interview with Billboard magazine, she stated, "That was more of Jenni telling her story through music. My life has been so put out there by the media that I figured I may as well put it out there myself, in my own words and through my music. I wanted to clear up speculation about my private life." The album also garnered Rivera her first Lone Nuestro Award for Regional Mexican Female Artist of the Year, an award she would dominate for the rest of her life. The same year, she released La Diva en Vivo, a live album that consisted of songs recorded with a mariachi band, which garnered her her second Latin Grammy nomination for Best Ranchero Album. That year, she was the only female singer nominated in that category. The album, recorded at the Gibson Amphitheater in Universal City, California, Rivera sold out the concert, the first female banda singer to do so. Her 10th studio album, Jenni, released in 2008, became her first number one record on the Billboard Top Latin Albums chart in the United States. The album won Rivera her second Lone Nuestro Award for Banda Artist of the Year, the first and to date, the only female act to win the accolade. In 2009, she changed course and recorded her first mariachi studio album entitled La Gran Senora, which garnered a Latin Grammy nomination for Best Ranchero Album. It peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Top Latin Albums chart in the United States. In an interview, Rivera said that releasing the album was very daring and marked her career in a positive way. She said she wanted to grow as an artist, and the people that listen to banda will listen to mariachi if they find a good album that they feel is worth buying. She went on to say there are certain nationalities that will listen to mariachi and not banda. Those were the people that she was going after. She also stated commercializing a ranchera album is much harder. There had not been a successful female mariachi artist in a long time. It was a big risk, but it was a risk that I was willing to take. La Gran Senora ended up being the biggest selling regional Mexican album of 2010. This next section is about 2010 to 2012 reality shows, Las Vegas star Joya Prestada and La Voz Mexico. It goes on to say, in 2010, she announced she would be going on tour to promote her last album, La Gran Senora. At the end of the tour, she released La Gran Senora en Vivo, a live album that consisted of hits in banda and mariachi. It debuted at number 8 on the Top Latin Album chart in the United States. She recorded the album and became the first Latin artist to sell out 2 back-to-back nights at the Nokia Theater in Los Angeles on August 6th to 7th in 2010. She became the first Latin artist to sell out the Nokia Theater on July 9th, 2009. The tour proved to be a success. La Gran Senora and La Gran Senora en Vivo both garnered Latin Grammy nominations in the regional Mexican category and went platinum in Mexico and the United States. On August 23rd, 2011, she renewed her contract with Universal Music Latin Entertainment / Fonovisa Records. To celebrate this event, she performed at and sold out the Staples Center in Los Angeles, becoming the first female regional Mexican singer to do so. At the concert, she announced she would be recording Joya Prestadas, which consists of 11 cover versions, with the first album being recorded in Latin pop, while the second was recorded in banda. Both albums were produced by Enrique Martinez. According to Rivera, the songs she chose to cover were those she was enamored with while working as a cashier in a record store. It was her first production to include ballad recordings. She has also sold out Mexican national auditoriums, a feat few singers in her genre ever achieve. Rivera was a producer at the Mun2 reality TV show Chiquis and Rack-C, featuring her oldest daughter, Chiquis, and she then appeared in the spin-off show I Love Jenni. Rivera worked as coach in the second season of the Mexican talent show La Voz Mexico, based upon the Voice franchise. In October 2012, named her one of the top 25 most powerful women. In December 2012, Rivera was only the third singer to place 3 albums on the entire top 3 on Billboard Top Latin Albums chart, with her albums number 1, La Misma Gran Senora, number 2, Joya Prestada Pop, and number 3, Joya Prestada Banda. She joins 2 other leading singers who also achieved the feat only in death, Celia Cruz and Selena Quintanilla. In life and death, several media outlets including CNN, Billboard, Fox News, and the New York Times have labeled Rivera the most important female figure and top-selling female artist in the regional Mexican music genre. This next section is 2013 to present, posthumous movies, books, and album releases. By early 2013, Rivera had sold some 15 million albums worldwide. On December 11th, 2012, 2 days after her death, Fonovisa Records released La Misma Gran Senora. The album debuted at number 1 on Billboard Top Latin Albums chart, number 1 on Billboard Regional Mexican Albums chart, number 1, and the album debuted at number 1 on Billboard's Top Latin Albums chart, number 1 on Billboard Regional Mexican Albums chart, and number 1 on Mexico's Top 100 charts. Since its release, it has been rewarded 1 Billboard Music Award, 3 Latin Billboard Music Awards, and 2 Mexican Billboard Music Awards. At the 2013 Billboard Music Awards, it was awarded the Top Latin Album accolade. Since her death in 2012, she has earned a spot on the Forbes Top Earning Dead Celebrities of 2013, making an estimate $7 million. Posthumously, Rivera has been awarded 2 OYO Awards, Mexico's equivalent to the Grammys Awards. Posthumously, Billboard magazines named her the top Latin artist of 2013. Her long career included such honors as 20 million albums sold worldwide, making her the highest earning banda singer of all time. On April 19th, 2013, her debut film, Philly Brown, was released. Rivera played a drug-addicted mother in prison. Oscar-nominated actor Edward James Olmos, who served as executive producer on the film, called Rivera's performance Oscar-worthy. On July 2nd, 2013, Unbreakable slash Inquebrantable, it's quite a word,
Inquebrantable.
Rivera's official autobiography arrived. Rivera had been working on it for years, and after her death, her family put it together and turned it into a full book that became an instant New York Times bestseller. The total sales from Jenni Rivera's autobiography, different editions, including English and Spanish, made it the top-selling book in the United States the week of its release. Univision reported Rivera's family has released 2 parts of her last concert in Monterrey, titled 1969 Siempre en Vivo desde Monterrey, Part 1, and 1969 Siempre en Vivo desde Monterrey, Part 2. Both albums have been commercially successful in the United States and Mexico. Both albums peaked at number 1 on Billboard's Top Latin Album chart, number 1 on the Regional Mexican Albums chart, and number 2 on Mexico's Top 100 chart. Rivera was ranked at number 1 on Billboard's Top 10 Regional Mexican Musicians 2009 to 2014 list. On July 1st, 2014, Rivera's album 1969 Siempre en Vivo desde Monterrey, Part 2, went on sale and sold over 10,000 in the week ending July 6th. According to Nielsen SoundScan, since the album's release, Rivera has tied with Selena Quintanilla for most number 1s by a female on the Regional Mexican Albums chart. Billboard magazine named Rivera the highest ranked woman on the year-end Top Latin Artist chart of 2014, ranking at number 5. The next highest female artist is Shakira at number 32. At the 2015 Billboard Latin Music Awards, Rivera was awarded Top Latin Albums, Female Artist of the Year, and Regional Mexican Artist of the Year. On November 2018, Jenni Rivera Enterprises signed a music distribution deal with Sony Music Entertainment through its Sony Music Latin and the Orchids labels. In June 2023, Rivera's family released Misión Completa, which is her first and posthumous studio album in 11 years since the release of Joya Prestadas. This next section is regarding style, but this says Rivera's music style was classified as banda, a form of traditional Mexican music popular in Mexico and parts of the United States with large Hispanic populations. Banda music originated in the state of Sinaloa, and the music sound is primarily instruments such as tuba, clarinets, and trumpets, exemplified by bands such as Banda El Recodo and Banda La Costeña. However, according to Leila Cobo of Billboard, her music contained a contemporary, outspoken flair. She sang in both Spanish and English and often addressed personal themes such as her struggles with domestic violence, divorce, and her weight. Rivera described speaking openly with her fans about her personal issues as a primary part of her career, discussing her unconventional approach and her signal La Malandrinas. Rivera explained it was late in the 1990s and the early 2000s, and the female singers were singing ballads and romantic fare. So I figured I'm not typical at all in any way, so I'm going to do what the guys do, but in a different voice. She was given names such as La Diva de la Banda and La Primera Dama del Corrido for her work in the banda and corrido genre. Although banda was her main focus, she also released albums in norteño and mariachi. This next section is about personal life, but this subsection is about marriage and children. Rivera was married 3 times and had 5 children. She gave birth to her first child, Jenni, better known as Chiquis, born in 1985. While still in high school, she later married the baby's father, Jose Trinidad Marin, and they had 2 more children, Jacqueline, born in 1989, and Michael, born in 1991. But she ended the marriage in 1992, citing physical and emotional abuse. In 1997, her younger sister Rosie confessed that Jenni's ex-husband Marin used to sexually abuse her and was now doing the same to Chickus. Physical examination showed she had done the same to Jackie. The molestation case was opened in 1997, and Marin spent 9 years as a fugitive before he was apprehended in April 2006, convicted of sexual assault and rape, and sentenced to more than 31 years in prison without parole. Rivera married her second husband, Juan Lopez, in 1997. They had a daughter, Janica, in 1997, and a son, Juan Angel, in 2001, before they divorced in 2003. In 2007, Lopez was convicted of selling drugs. He died from complications of pneumonia while in prison in 2009. Rivera married baseball player Esteban Loaiza in 2010. They filed for a divorce in 2012, just months before her death, but it was never finalized. Next subsection is about charity work, and this says on August 6th, 2010, Rivera was named spokeswoman for the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. A proclamation was given officially naming August 6th Jenni Rivera Day by the Los Angeles City Council. This is a tribute to her significant contributions to the community, particularly her advocacy for women and children affected by violence. In addition to her work with the NCADV, Rivera was deeply involved with Children's Hospital Los Angeles, where she supported the hospital's mission and fundraising efforts, and was honored by being added to the hospital's Wall of Fame. Rivera was a Roman Catholic. However, her brother Pedro Rivera Jr. is the pastor of the Premier Amor Church of Whittier, California, further cementing the family's ties to both faith and community service. This next section is about legal issues. It says in June 2008, Univision reported that Rivera was arrested after a concert in Raleigh, North Carolina, for allegedly hitting a fan. Media reports state that incident occurred after Rivera was hit on her right leg with a beer can that was thrown by someone in the crowd. Rivera made the culprit climb up on stage and allegedly started assaulting him physically and verbally. After the altercation, the fan called the police, and Rivera was arrested after wrapping up the concert. Rivera was detained for a few hours, but released shortly after, paying a $3,000 bail. In October 2008, a sex video featuring Rivera began circulating. Rivera was arrested on May 18, 2009 by customs authorities at the International Airport of Mexico City. She failed to declare $52,467 cash in her purse. Rivera later paid a fine of $8,400 and was released. According to New York Daily News, Rivera worked as a performer for drug cartel parties in 2009. In later 2014, controversy and accusations continued to surround the circumstances of her death. Her widower, Esteban Loaiza, has sued Starwood for wrongful death. A request by his attorney to dismiss the case was granted in late October. Court records show Loaiza's suit contended the pilot flying Rivera. Rivera's estate has launched a copyright lawsuit against her former manager, Laura Lucio. The plaintiffs are asking a judge to instruct law enforcement officials to confiscate Rivera's writings and interviews from Lucio so she cannot use them for a book project. In January 2014, Lucio filed a lawsuit claiming Rivera's estate published a biography of Rivera using the writings and interviews that she helped put together before Rivera passed. Lucio alleged her book project, Mi Vida Loca, which she claimed to have written with Rivera, was shelved following Rivera's death, but was later published under a new title, Unbreakable, My Story, My Way, without her permission. Rivera's estate subsequently had the lawsuit moved out of state court and into federal court, but in September of 2014, U.S. District Judge George Wu granted Lucio's request to have the case moved back to state court. She then published the materials, and Rivera's estate are now claiming they are the rightful owners of them. The lawsuit reads, defendants even falsely listed herself as the author of these copyrighted works, created by Jenni Rivera and or owned by Jenni Rivera's enterprises, in a registration of a manuscript titled Jenni Rivera, Mi Vida Loca, translated to My Crazy Life, as told to Laura Lucio, with the Writers Guild of America's Intellectual Property Registry. Rivera's estate and Lucio settled the case out of court in September 2015. The terms of the settlement are confidential. On December 9th, 2014, the estate of Rivera sued the owners of the plane that was carrying her. The negligence case is against Starwood Management Inc., which owned the Learjet 25 jet that crashed in northern Mexico after plunging more than 2,800 feet, or 8,500 meters. The case is also against the companies that service the aircraft, Bombardier Inc. and Learjet Inc. Rivera's parents and her 5 children are plaintiffs in the case. The suit seeks unspecified damages on their behalf. Rivera's estate has also been sued along with Starwood by relatives of those killed in the crash, including her attorney, hairstylist, publicist, and makeup artist, and one of the plane's pilots. This next section is about death and funeral. This says Rivera died in an aircraft accident in the early hours of December 9th, 2012, when the Learjet 25 she was traveling in with 6 others crashed near Monterrey, Mexico. She was in the city to perform at the Monterrey Arena the previous evening. After holding a press conference at the end of the show, she and 4 other staff and 2 pilots departed from Monterrey Airport at around 3:20 a.m. local time on December 9th to fly to Toluca, Mexico for an appearance on La Voz, a Mexican singing competition TV series, and around 15 minutes later, contact with the jet was lost, and later in the day, its wreckage was found near the Iturbide Nuevo Leon. There were no survivors. A public memorial service was held at the Gibson Amphitheater on December 19th, 2012. Rivera was buried on December 31st, 2012 at All Souls Cemetery in Long Beach, California. Her father told Telemundo that legal issues had caused this delay. Her death made international headlines for weeks. The investigation by Mexican authorities, assisted by the U.S. National Transportation Safety Board, normal protocol when a U.S. aircraft or U.S. citizen is affected, was closed in December 2014 without determining the cause of the crash. The aircraft had completely disintegrated after hitting the ground in a nosedive at speeds at approximately 1,000 miles an hour, or 1,600 kilometers an hour, and the flight recorder was destroyed in the impact, while the cockpit voice recorder was never found. The probable cause was stated to be loss of control of the aircraft for undetermined reasons. This next section is about reactions. This says stories of Rivera's disappearance and death appeared on Telemundo and Univision, the United States' leading Spanish language networks, as well as CNN, MSNBC, ABC, and near the top of the New York Times website. Shortly after her death, CNN and Espanol reported that Rivera started to become more known internationally, with her name trending on Twitter worldwide and a surge of sales in her albums being bought from people outside of Mexico and the United States. Universal Music Group, Fonovisa's parent company, also released a statement saying the entire Universal Music Group family is deeply saddened by the sudden loss of our dear friend, Jenni Rivera. The world rarely sees someone who has had such a profound impact on so many. From her incredibly versatile talent to the way she embraced her fans around the world, Jenni was simply incomparable. Her talent will be missed, but her gift of music will be with us always. United States Senator Marco Rubio made a statement about Rivera's life and death in the Senate floor, where he said Rivera was a real American success story. Celebrities such as Mario Lopez and Gloria Estefan tweeted their condolences to Rivera's family. So this next section is about cultural impact. This says Jenni Rivera was one of the early women in the industry to sing narco corridos.
Narco corridos.
And her music centered on testimonies of gender nonconformity. She was also one of the few women at the time who openly sang about non-traditional behaviors among women. Feminist media scholar Jessica Garcia Hernandez described the way Latinas party, celebrate, sing, undress, and mourn Jenni's music are ways they are rejecting the obedient womanhood. Hernandez further argues how Jenni's music allows Latina women to express a different way of love and pleasure for themselves. For instance, her song La Chacalosa led to a rise in popular online social groups for women who self-identified as behaving in non-traditional modes. This gave women a space to express their anti-patriarchal forms of femininity through a more progressive lens. In another example, Jenni said in an interview that her song La Malandrinas paid homage to her female fans, the type of girls that go clubbing, drinking lots of tequila, and stand up for themselves. Rivera's music was a source of empowerment for young Latinas and Chicanas who saw their stories reflected in her music. Through songs such as La Gran Senora, girls can reflect on their relationships with their mothers who may have gone through relationship problems such as infidelity, single parenthood, and social stigma. Additionally, Rivera's fans, as reported by Arlinda Villa and contemporary Latina O Madea production Circulation Politics, played her music to transient, undisciplined desires, endorsed immigrants, civil rights, and protests women's abuses. As for posthumous honors, this next section is about books. In July 2nd, 2013, Rivera's family released Unbreakable, My Story, My Way. Rivera, a New York Times bestseller. The Spanish language paperback sold over 9,000 copies in its first week, with the English language hardcover and paperback editions selling over 10,000 copies combined. This next section is about awards and ceremonies. And on the 25th anniversary of Premio Lo Nuestra, Univision dedicated the awards ceremony to her. She received a tribute by various artists singing the songs that she performed. She was awarded 5 awards, including Artist of the Year. At the 2013 Latin Billboard Music Awards, she was posthumously awarded 7 awards, including the Artist of the Year. Her brother, Juan Rivera, performed one of her songs titled No Liga El Olvido at her ceremony. The next section is about the Grammy Museum. It says on May 12th, 2013, the Grammy Museum opened new exhibits dedicated to her. On display were a broad array of items, including stage costumes she had worn, her personal Bible, her driver's license, credit cards, rare photographs of her both on and off stage, handwritten notes, award trophies, ticket stubs, and concert posters, tour books, fan memorabilia, and video footage from live performances and television appearances. A spokesperson from the Grammy Museum told the Los Angeles Times that the exhibit had become one of the most popular attractions in the museum's 5 years history. The spokesperson also stated that this was the first exhibition that the museum has devoted entirely to a Latino or Latin American artist. The exhibit was closed on May 11th, 2014. This next section is about Jenni Rivera Memorial Park. And on October 8th, 2014, Long Beach, California, Councilman D. Andrews pushed to name a park in memorial of Rivera. Andrews proposed to name a public right-of-way park in central Long Beach at Walnut Avenue and 20th Street, the Jenni Rivera Memorial Park. The request was headed at the following City Council's meeting. The agenda item was co-sponsored by Councilwoman Susie Price and Councilman Roberto Aronga. The Councilman Andrews said Jenni was an inspiration to all of us. By honoring Jenni Rivera with a memorial park, the city of Long Beach will be paying tribute to a great citizen of our city who is a remarkable entertainer, inspirational leader, and an amazing ambassador of all of Long Beach. Andrews' office released a written statement from the Rivera family in regards to the park name proposal, stating, "We're honored and humbled to have a great community asset named after our mother, daughter, and sister in the greatest city of the world. Jenni always considered herself a chic from Long Beach with pride. No matter how many millions of albums she sold, she always knew she'd return to her hometown, but this exceeded her dreams. We are forever grateful." On October 17th, 2014, the Long Beach City Council voted 8-0 in favor of moving forward with the 6th District Council member D. Andrews' item requesting the council consider naming a park in the 6th District in honor of Rivera. On July 2nd, 2016, Long Beach city officials hosted a grand opening ceremony of the park. The ceremony featured a 125-foot long or 38-meter mural of Rivera. This next section is about the Hollywood Walk of Fame. It's very short, but this says in 2024, Jenni Rivera received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. This next section is about legacy, and the first subsection is about Love Foundation. This says Rivera was known for giving back to the community. She used her Love Foundation to help women and children that went through domestic violence, sexual, physical, and emotional abuse. In 2012, Rivera was honored at Children's Hospital Los Angeles with a spot on the Wall of Fame for her continued support and donations to the hospital. After her death, the foundation continues to help women and children in need through refuge centers, fundraisers, and more. This next subsection is about Jenni Vive. Jenni Vive is an annual fundraiser and tribute concert hosted by Jenni Rivera Love Foundation. The first Jenni Vive event was held on December 9th, 2013 in Arena Monterrey, the same arena Rivera had sold out in her last concert exactly a year before. Performers include Rivera's family and friends such as Larry Hernandez, Tito El Bambino, Diana Reyes, and La Original Banda Limon. The second event was held on July 2nd, 2015, in Long Beach, California. Performers included the singer's daughters, Chiquis and Jackie, Latin pop artist Becky G, Banda Los Recoditos, Los Tucanes de Tijuana, Los Horoscopes de Durango, and Regulo Coro. All earnings from Jenni's Vive events go to the Jenni Rivera Love Foundation. This next subsection is about Jenni's Refuge. In May 2016, the Jenni Rivera Love Foundation, in partnership with New Life Beginnings, opened Jenni's Refuge, a women and children's refuge center in Long Beach, California. The Refuge Center is dedicated to helping women and children that have gone through domestic violence, physical, emotional, or sexual abuse. Jenni's Refuge was built with earnings from Jenni Vive in 2015. And this next subsection is about Tequila La Gran Senora. In 2009, Rivera began working on her own tequila. Rivera partnered with Three Crowns distributors, planned, tasted, and approved the tequila from 2009 to 2012. The tequila was released in September 2013 as Tequila La Gran Senora. In 2014, Tequila La Gran Senora won Best in Class for its versions in Blanco and Reposado. It also took a Tequila Añejo Gold Award for its Añejo form. It took the award from Don Julio. Rivera's tequila has appeared in music videos with her daughter Chiquis, to fellow celebrities such as Mario El Cachorro, Delgado, Snow the Product, and more. In July 2016, at Noche de la Gran Senora, an event celebrating Rivera's birthday, Rivera's family presented a new bottle of tequila, La Gran Senora. The bottle was approved by Rivera herself. The new bottle was expected to go on sale in late 2016. This next section is about biopic film, and this says Rivera is the subject of a VIX biographical film, Jenni, in 2024, directed by Gigi Saul Guerrero and starring Annie Gonzalez, and the title role with J.R. Villarreal playing the Juan Cinco Lopez. Gonzalez received approval from Rivera's children after singing to them on Zoom. This next section is about discography, but this says that her studio albums are Somos Rivera in 1992, La Maestra in 1993, Polo No More in 1994, Poco a Poco in 1994, Adios a Selena in 1995, Sequires Verme Lorar in 1999, Reina de Reinas in 1999, Que Me Entren con la Banda in 2000, Desata Amar in 2001, Se la Voy a Dar Otro in 2001, Homenaje a la Grande in 2003, Porranda Rebelde y Atrevida in 2005, Mi Vida Loca in 2007, Jenni in 2008, La Gran Senora in 2009, Joya Prestada, Pop in 2011, Joya Prestada Banda in 2011, and Misión Completa 2023, posthumously released. As for her filmography, there was La Dinastia de los Perez in 1994, and Philly Brown in 2013. Several television shows, appearances as self-entitled, from 2004 to 2012, Premios de la Radio, 2007 to 2011, La Nuestro Awards, 2007 to 2009, Sábado Gigante, 07 to 11, El Show de Cristina, 08 to 10, Latin Grammy Awards, 2010, Jenni Rivera presents Chicas and Roxy, 2011, El Show de Jenni Rivera and Eva Luna, 2011 to 2013, I Love Jenni, 2012, Chicas in Control, La Voz, Mexico, Billboard Latin Music Awards, and in 2016, The Riveras. This next section is about tribute concerts, concert films, and biographical programming. In 2010, there's the La Gran Senora en Vivo. 2013, La Diva en Concierto. 2014, La Vida de una Diva. 2017, Su Nombre Era Dolores. In 2017, Mariposa de Barrio. And see also these honorific nicknames, list of Billboard Social 50 #1 artists, list of fatalities from aviation accidents, list of best-selling Latin music artists, and Jenni Rivera fashion, and women and Latin music. And a whole lot of references, because there's a whole lot to say about Miss Rivera. Honestly, this is probably one of the longer articles we went over, but this is definitely justified. She has had a very interesting and great life. personally, I've never heard of her. I may have listened to her music and just not even known it. But yeah, I was born in 2000, so by the time that she passed, I was 12 years old, about to be 13 years old. So her music was probably going a lot over my head, and it was pretty well before my time. But she's definitely had an interesting life. I mean, yeah, dude, she got straight A's in school, so she was a great student. She was a great mother, great philanthropist, great artist, clearly, a great personality. She had a very nuanced life. Of course, it wasn't perfect. Nobody's life is perfect. She had her problems, like, you know, the basically embarrassing a fan in front of in a concert, justifiably so, with that guy throwing a beer bottle at her, and the performing for the cartel. Although, I mean, considering it's the cartel, she may not have had a choice. Of course, after her death, all the controversy with that, and all the problems that come with you know, somebody dying and having to take care of their estate. But I'll have to give Miss Rivera a shot on my Spotify playlist, because with this whole discography, I definitely won't have a shortage. I like all sorts of music, whether it's in the language I can understand or not, dude. I don't care. Music is music. But I'll have to also take a trip to Jenni Rivera Memorial Park in Long Beach. And as much as I do appreciate her charity work, I really hope I know how to use any of the hospitals that she's donated to. Not to say that I'm saying that they're bad. I'm just saying I don't want to end up in the hospital. But I'm sure that the hospitals that she has donated to, and all the services that she's been a part of and had a hand in making and keeping afloat, are doing well to this day. She definitely seems like an influential figure. But yeah, Miss Rivera, Miss Jenni Rivera, great person, great woman, great singer, songwriter, performer, I'm sure. Yeah, interesting person. Definitely put some respect on her name. Also, I am sorry for all of the Spanish mannerisms that I don't quite get right. Obviously, I am not a Latin individual. I don't speak very great Spanish, but I do do my Duolingo. Again, Jenni Rivera, put some respect on her name. She is great. If you know of her and you miss her, put the music on. That's exactly what she would have wanted.